All right, we are going to go ahead. Good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are joining us from today. I'd like to welcome you to today's presentation on leadership, innovation, and change in the built environment. We are very lucky this afternoon, evening, or morning to have one of our esteemed faculty members, Dr. David Gerber, who is going to lead our presentation today. But first, I want to go over a few information points about the University of Southern California. For those that do not know, we are located right in the heart of Los Angeles. We're about 3 miles from downtown Los Angeles, so very, very centrally located in the heart of the city. We're one of the world's leading private research universities, also the oldest private research university in the Western United States. We're home to 23 academic departments and schools, which include schools like the Marshall School of Business and the Annenberg School for Communication, the School of Cinema and Television, and of course, the Viterbi School of Engineering. We're home to a very, very diverse and very international student population. So we have a lot of domestic students as well as international students that attend our university, and a very, very robust alumni network. As you can see, 437,000 plus alumni worldwide. So very, very strong alumni connections. So at this time, I'd like to pass the presentation over to Dr. David Gerber, who is going to talk to you about the Advanced Design and Construction Technology program.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Kevin, and thank you, everybody else from the USC side for getting this organized. To all of our guests, welcome, and thanks for taking the time. And I look forward to your questions at the end as well. We have a really fantastic Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering. And within that department, we have a number of graduate programs. And the one that I'm speaking to is actually the one that I'm currently directing. And what we've done is we've created a new program which is speaking to the future of all of the disciplines within the built environment. So if you think about buildings, and if you think about infrastructure, and you think about the entire value chain, we are trying to create leaders in that value chain, from owners, developers, to designers and engineers, and to VDC managers, if we wanted to get specific. Our goal fundamentally is to enable all of our graduates to be thought leaders and leaders of whichever organization they end up in with respect to 4 key pillars of knowledge. And those 4 key pillars, as far as we're concerned, include data, technologies with an S, and I'll explain that, integration, I'll explain that, and sustainability. So when we think about the 21st century leader of the built environment, we want to equip them with those 4 key bodies of knowledge in order to bring about change and efficiency and optimal design, engineering, and projects into the future. So when we think about the built environment, again, we're very inclusive of not just buildings as individual buildings, but campuses, infrastructure, and the systems that enable our urban environments. Next slide, Kevin. So the Masters of Science in Civil Engineering, with a focus on advanced design and construction technology, it's intentionally a multidisciplinary program tackling the global challenges through data-driven approaches. So more and more and more, what we're seeing in industry is the need for our graduates to be savvy about data, to be savvy about modeling, to be savvy about simulation, but equally to be savvy in the way that they can work across the currently siloed disciplines that make up a project of any sort of scale and scope in our field of the built environment. So what have we done? A few key takeaways in terms of how we built this program. We want our students to develop expertise in, as I said, sustainability, data, analysis and visualization, computing, modeling, simulation, and understanding the lessons learned from other industries. So manufacturing is there for a reason, which is more and more of the built world is actually being produced in factories and what we call offsite construction. The the way that we bring this expertise to the table is we learn from experts. There's a number of required courses and a lot of electives. And in those required courses, we bring in the experts from computing, from data science, some AI, civil engineering in the sense of the really advanced thinkers in civil engineering, design, and entrepreneurship. Because one of the other key goals for us is to not only produce graduate students that will land the great jobs, but also provide the opportunities for our graduate students to go out and start their own businesses. And this is the largest industry in the world when you calculate dollar spend, the AEC itself, architecture, engineering, construction, and it is ripe for disruption. And in fact, in the last 5 years, we've seen a huge amount of venture capital and interest in our industry because of its scale, because of its complexity, and because it's ripe for disruption. So entrepreneurship is another big theme for us. We, in a sense, are providing our students with a competitive leverage through the skills and through the knowledge base that we're providing so that they can actually go into high growth careers by engaging them with real world opportunities and industry engagements. So one of the more recent things that's happened for the department is we have launched a industry affiliates program as part of the Center for Intelligent Environments. And what that's really about is that's about bringing industry into our conversations around research, around our curriculum, and bringing our students closer to the companies that they're typically being recruited by. So we'll get into that as well, and I'll happily answer some questions there too. Next slide, please. So the curriculum itself is actually pretty simple. We have a series of required courses, and we have a lot of elective courses. One thing that this degree is not, it's not a thesis-driven master's. It's really a knowledge-based driven master's, again, around those 4 pillars of data, technologies, integration, and sustainability. And so if you look at the course list, CE 470, this is a course that's focused on the current and near-term tools like building information modeling, like rule checking, like clash detection toolkits that are already the prevalent set of skills that you need for the industry. The next 2 courses, 505 and 568, are the fundamentals of data management and the concepts around computing and programming for civil engineering, construction management, or design engineering in general for the built environment. The following 2 courses, 573 and 578, are the courses in which you not only get to hear from a very broad spectrum of experts in the field, but you also get to practice and implement some novel techniques through modeling and process modeling, how we can start to change our industry. In 573, typically we have 20 to 30 guests come in from the broad sort of spectrum of owners, engineers, architects, mechanical engineers, contractors, subcontractors, venture capitalists, and startups to basically tell their story to our students about how they have gone into the industry or come out of the industry and gone back in with innovations. And so it gives you a perspective of what innovation looks like, and it gives you some encouragement about how you can become innovators yourselves. In 578, it's about industrialized construction. So we model, simulate not just the design of something, but in fact, the entire life cycle of that design, including how it fits on a truck, how it gets assembled, how cranes are used, and how people might actually be involved in repetitive actions to model, simulate, and build something. The rest of the required courses are electives on purpose. What we've done is we've generated a list of courses that we think are applicable, but we don't tell all of our students which ones to take. Rather, what happens is you actually come to me and say, these are the courses I want to take and why. And the general principle around that is, does it fall within the 4 pillars of knowledge? And is it setting you up for the career that you're actually seeking once you graduate, or the startup you're wanting to build once you graduate? So that's the curriculum as a whole. Next slide, please. So involved in the faculty, this is just a small subset. You have actually the chair of the department, Gerber, and the head of the Center for Intelligent Environments. You have the former chair of the department and a very renowned researcher and educator within civil engineering and construction. That's Lucio Soibelman. You have Professor Baruch Schnevis, actually the inventor of 3D printing of concrete, contract crafting, which is now becoming a prevalent methodology around the world. He's part of our faculty and is engaged in our program. You have myself, but you also have many others that are part of the electives as well as part of our core curriculum. I should say Baruch is also a member of the National Academy of Engineering, and Burchin is a member of the National Academy of Construction, as is Professor Soibelman. Switching gears for a second, but also equally important, we are a globally minded program. While we are, very much centered in Southern California and have a lot of, let's say, roots and connections in Southern California, our alumni network and our networks in general as faculty and participants in this program is global. And we look at that in two ways. One is the opportunities that we can bring to our students from finding jobs in Asia and in Africa and in Europe and in the United States and South America, but also some of the projects that we engage in are what we might call global challenges or global crises. And we bring our students when possible into the field and try to combine intelligent design, engineering, research, and in a sense, empathy and storytelling to see if we can solve some of these challenges that we face around the world. The example actually being shown here is from about 3 years ago when we brought our students into the global crises in Lesbos, Greece, which is where a large number of the refugees were coming across from Turkey into Europe and all of the issues around the camps and things like that. Because of COVID, we focused this program locally. And then just about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I actually brought students up to Alaska with the same sort of mindset. Can we actually solve some of the challenges that the population faces up there with the idea that some of our innovations could become global? So next slide, please. All right, so what happens to our graduates, right? Where do they go? Why do we do this? Well, we have a number of programs in the department, environmental, structural, transportation, construction management, and now the ADCT. Construction management and the ADCT are sort of like sisters and brothers. They're very, very much aligned. What this program specifically is trying to do is enable the future of what we call the built environment of construction management. So we see our students going to not just the general contractors, and we were in fact touring the new Lucas Museum yesterday, being built by Hathaway Dinwiddie, who's also part of our faculty. People from Hathaway are part of our faculty, but not just the general contractors, but also the owners. Think about some of these tech firms that actually build lots and lots of buildings, or think about hospitals that have huge programs of construction. We also place our students in some of the tech firms as not just facilities people, but in fact modelers and simulators. So we're looking at this from a much broader perspective of the entire value chain, from owners to designers, to engineers, to contractors, to subcontractors, to technology firms as technologists, but also technology firms as facilities focused people. Some of the others have also looked at management consulting based again on the 4 pillars of knowledge, where sustainability is really quite critical to most businesses these days, being adept with data, being adept with technologies. And when I say technologies, I mean hammer to AI. So there are opportunities to work with manual tools, but also to learn why the manual tools are being replaced by the robotics that we actually have access to and teach conceptually, to computational tools like machine learning, which I'm sure you've all heard a lot about. The actual titles that our students end up getting is quite varied. Because again, we are broadening that set of opportunities from just pure construction jobs, but to the whole value chain. We have a lot of industry partners. We have a lot of industry friends. And we're building actually the membership for the Center for the Intelligent Environments currently. And there too, we have targets that are the leading, let's say, innovators in construction, but it's only really valuable when you bring the owners and the designers to the table at the same time. So we're following our own model in terms of how we're building the Center for Intelligent Environments. Sorry, I'm just reading a question here. All right. I didn't understand Ray's comment, but we'll get to that, I guess. So ultimately, as it says, we're looking to place our students as leaders into everything from civil infrastructure to smart cities to buildings technology with, again, the 4 pillars of knowledge. Some understanding and expertise in data, which will be driving all of the decisions in the future. Some expertise in a number of technologies, from modeling to simulating to robotics to AI. Some understanding of integration. And what that really is about is being able to talk across different disciplines. So understanding the different roles in our value chain and being able to converse and share data, models, and decision-making. And fundamentally also leaving the program with a deep understanding of our responsibility as stewards of the built environment, which accounts for 48% greenhouse gases on the globe. So sustainability. Next slide.
All right. I think that this part I'll go over a little bit, and then we'll circle back to answer any questions. So now that you guys have gotten some information about the program, the next part is how to apply and what's kind of required in the application process. Of course, we're looking for students that have a bachelor's degree in engineering, architecture, as well as any other engineering related discipline. There's a $90 application fee, official transcripts, which can be uploaded directly to the application, a resume or a CV, personal statement, as well as 2 letters of recommendation. If you are an international student, we also require the TOEFL or IELTS exam to be submitted as well. And so those are the basic application requirements, and these are very similar to all of our master's programs, almost identical to all of our master's programs. And so this is what we're asking for you to apply to this program specifically. Let's see. Many students will ask questions about funding and scholarships and deadlines. We do have scholarships that we offer to students. These scholarships will apply to this program as well. First that I want to go over is the Dean's Master Scholarship, which is a partial tuition scholarship ranging anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000. These are tuition-based dollars, so they will be applied directly to your tuition fee bill. They're open to both U.S. and international students. We also have a variety of endowed scholarships, which are supported by our donors, and they really range the spectrum, everywhere from merit-based to program-specific, region-specific, and they also range a variety of different tuition-based dollars as well. The way that you apply or qualify for these scholarships is by submitting your application for admission by the scholarship deadline. The scholarship deadline, as you can see, is December 15th. All right, so that's the only thing you have to do. You submit your application for this program by December 15th, and you will automatically be considered for any scholarships that we offer. Our final deadline for application is January 15th. So as you can see, you're applying basically a month early to be considered for scholarships. I encourage all students to do that because you never know what free monies you may qualify for. And it's better to just get it out of the way and get it in and possibly get some free scholarship money that comes with that. If for whatever reason you missed the deadline of December 15th, you can still apply for the program by January 15th. All right, so at this time, we want to pass it over to our student who is currently in the Advanced Design Construction Technology program. So I'm going to invite Bibi to come up and speak to us a little bit about the program and some of her favorite parts of this program.
Hi, Bibi.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hi, everyone. How are you guys?
Good.
My name is Bibi Al-Badr, and I'm an international student from Kuwait. I got my bachelor's degree in civil engineering, and this is my second semester in the ADCT program. Unfortunately, my first semester was online, but thankfully we're back on campus now. I pursued this program because I was initially interested in construction management. I was never into the technical details of engineering, like calculating how much area of steel is required. Although it's important, I was always more into the bigger picture, like how different disciplines come together and the factors that contribute to a project's overall success. I thought that was what I was signing up for when I joined the program, but instead it opened a new world for me, a side I never really thought about in construction. The program is not the conventional academic one that just teaches you about the construction industry. Instead, it really puts an emphasis on the limitations of this industry and its problems, and focuses on the four pillars for disruption of the industry. And it ultimately prepares you for the future of the AEC industry to move towards an overall sustainable built environment and globe. The classes in the program offer you a chance to expand your connection and expand your minds, and gives you a real hands-on experience using different real-life simulations of what you will actually face in the real world. Honestly, I get challenged every day, but I also learn something new every day, not only academically, but personally. It molded me with leadership qualities and turned me into an entrepreneurial mindset, and has provided me the tools and actually encouraged me to take a bigger stance on the industry's fragmentation, one that I didn't think was in me. And ultimately, it made me become an instrument of change that the industry really needs today. And if you guys have any questions of this program, I'm happy to answer your questions. Just drop it down the Q&A box below and I'll answer it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bibi. I think it's so important to hear from current students in the program, and I hope that students that are participating in this webinar have questions for you as well. At this time, we'd like to open it up for questions. And as Bibi mentioned, we would like you to enter those questions in the Q&A box so that we can keep track of them and make sure that we're getting them answered. And we'll all stick around. You have Dr. Gerber that is still here that will be able to answer questions specifically about the program. Bibi is still here to answer questions that are specifically related to a current student in the program. And then the rest of us are here to answer any type of application questions that you may have. So go ahead and type those questions in the Q&A window and we will begin to answer those now.
Hey, Bibi, did you get my team email today?
Your what email?
I sent you an email with the teams.
No, I don't think I received it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Should I send? All right, that's just me doing homework on this call.
Worries.
I am excited to see the teams. I'm waiting on that. Hopefully it's a good one.
Oh no, I haven't sent it yet. There it is. Okay, here it comes. Come on, guys. Your chance to ask us questions. And I can also hide and you can ask Bibi the real questions.
All right, looks like there is a question in the chat box. So it says, is it possible to enroll in MSCE, Advanced Design and Construction Management, even though I specialize in structural engineering?
The answer is yes. We take a pretty multidisciplinary perspective and approach. We have students that are coming from straight civil. We have students that are coming from architectural engineering. We have students that are coming from structural. I think the thing to think about is, are we a good fit for where you want to go? We're happy to have structural engineers in our program, in effect, because we're looking at all kinds of modeling and simulating and data-driven approaches to just enhance the way that we're going to lead the industry. So yes, is the answer to your question.
There was another question that says, just to confirm, those deadlines are for fall of 2022. Yes, those are fall 2022 deadlines.
Yeah. Yeah. And we are, we're following COVID protocols at the university, but we're also teaching in person, which is making a great difference, I think, for everybody's enjoyment and also learning objectives. So we're back on campus, meeting every week, having a much better time of it, at least from my perspective.
All right, any other questions?
No? No.
Professor, actually, I have a question. This is Ray.
Hi, Ray.
You had mentioned that that it is very much a multidisciplinary program. Could you talk a little bit about some of the groups outside of civil engineering or even engineering totally that might benefit from the program? And things like architecture spring to mind, but I'm sure there are others, and it's always helpful to get a feel for that.
Do you mean how do we benefit in terms of our electives from the other resources on campus, or how do they benefit from us?
A little of both, but also in specific regards to how varied the academic backgrounds of potential students can be.
Right. Okay. I'll break it into three. So in terms of the variety of academic backgrounds, because it's an MS in civil engineering, we do have to bring in engineering, architectural engineering, and STEM undergraduates, right? We have that at the moment as a constraint because it's an accredited MS in civil engineering degree. So the variety is geographic or global. We get students from all over the world. BB is one of them. The undergraduate educations, again, architectural engineering, any type of engineering, and STEM fields are the ones that can actually come and take the MS. In terms of how we benefit others on campus, so how do our students, in a sense, carry their knowledge and expertise and skill sets to others? They are taking classes in the Saul Price School, in real estate and in planning. They are taking some classes at the School of Architecture, where I'm also faculty. They are taking classes sometimes in Dornsife and Cinema and Annenberg and places like that. They come to me with those kinds of ideas and requests, and generally, when they have a good argument, we always say yes. And then the third part, and perhaps more directly related to those on the call, is the electives that you can take is a pretty broad spectrum. The encouragement from me and others in the program is to really align whatever electives interest you towards two things. One is, if you know where you want to end up, let's help you build that skill set towards that goal. Or if you don't know exactly where you want to end up, let's make sure the course is aligned under these sort of four overarching pillars of knowledge, because we believe those four pillars are really critical for the future of the industry, and therefore also essential for our students to learn about and gain some expertise and go into the industry, or even into further research, PhD type careers based on that knowledge.
All right. There's another question.
Yes. Good question.
This program is a STEM program, right? Yes.
But so that relates to extended OPT and things like that. I'm sure Kevin can answer that better than I can.
Yes, it does qualify for that. So it is considered a STEM program. I had a question for BB. What are some of your goals after you finish the program? Like, what do you want to do?
I can answer that. I know.
There we go.
No, I'll let her answer.
Dr. Gerber teases me every single class.
It's true, I do.
But honestly, I entered the program thinking I wanted to head into the program project management role, like the more traditional and conventional. But the more I learn in Dr. Gerber's classes, and the more yeah, we learn stuff. The more I get exposure to other fields, it kind of changes every day.
Yeah.
And I think it's better to keep your options open and not stick to one particular field or goal. So it's just, I'm kind of learning that more in the program, and the more I take classes, like the more I have different goals and wanna like it really increases my passion the more I take classes.
I'm going to add to her answer. Hopefully BB doesn't get mad at me on Monday. But BB has expressed a real desire, at least in the past, to, in a sense, go back to Kuwait and be an agent for change. And while I tease her for that, that's exactly the goal from my standpoint of what the program is about. And the teasing is a little bit about we want to keep the smart kids here and help us change it here. But at the same time, a lot of our students are international. They learn things. They reflect on how what we're teaching can be applied in their home countries, and they end up going back and working in the ministries and companies and being agents of change. And I think that's really what we're all about, because the industry is in need of change. And it's one of the industries that has the lowest uptake of technology, which is surprising given its scale, being the largest industry in the world. So there's a lot of opportunities.
Awesome. Great. Any other questions you guys like to type into the chat, or not the chat, the Q&A window, sorry.
While that's happening, I will add, and BB is a great example of this, we are an extremely diverse faculty, a diverse department, and a diverse program. And we look for that because I think, engineering and construction, while it may seem homogeneous, it's not. And we want to be challenged by those differences that are global because the problems are global. And so, for those of you who aren't from LA, LA is a wonderful place to be for a period of time, and if not for longer. And it's an extremely diverse place to be as well.
All right, so we have another question that says, I'm currently working in the industry as a BIM engineer. All the core courses align with my career goals. Can I take up business management courses in the elective?
Yeah. So it's fantastic if you're coming in with BIM skills. By the way, that's really great news. And I would very much encourage my students to look at some of the business courses and the management courses internal to the department as well, because we have a very strong set of courses just within the construction management track. And yes, that's encouraged.
Awesome. All right. Any other questions?
Actually, I do have another one. And you had mentioned, the diversity of Los Angeles. I was just wondering, are there significant advantages to having the program centered in a large urban environment like Los Angeles?
Oh, yeah.
That's a really good question.
That's a great question, Ray. Thank you so much. I could go on about this for a long time, so I'll try to be brief. I think LA is becoming a vital part of the innovation ecosystem in the United States, but also globally. So what I mean by that is, we have Silicon Beach, and we have a lot of investment and startups here in Southern California that are actually built environment focused. So it's not just all entertainment or in the past aviation. So there's a lot of that going on right now. And that's a one kind of, let's say, diversity and manifested because it's partly an urban or a very large urban environment. We have a huge number of opportunities in industry just by virtue of the size of our city, by virtue of the amount of construction that's happening in our city. If you think about the underground transport, the transport at the airports, the Olympics coming, the new airport terminals, the new towers, the new buildings on campuses, housing. There's a lot of built environment activity in LA, probably one of the most active in the United States, next to New York and Chicago, perhaps, and Houston, things like that. So we're up there. There's a lot of, again, diversity in the job opportunities, but also diversity in the sort of culture of the city. I mean, for those of us who live here and have lived here for a while, I mean, it's a lot of neighborhoods, right? It's got a lot to offer, and in that there's a lot of opportunity. I'm reading the question here. Hello, I'm a civil engineering student located in the Philippines. Do you accept students who will engage in distance learning through online class? Kevin, I'm going to pass that to you, I guess.
Actually, I'm going to pass that to Ray. Is this program a part of the DIN program yet, Ray?
Not
I
yet.
don't think so. Yeah, not yet.
No.
Yeah, at this point in time, this program isn't a part of our distance education network or our DIN online program. It may be in the future, but right now it isn't. Any other questions?
I have a question.
All right.
BB, what's the question everybody should be asking, but they're not asking?
Good question.
That's a good question.
Or what do you wish you had asked before you came? I put BB on the spot. Sorry,
Yeah.
BB.
Was not expecting that question.
Well, to relieve the pressure, guys, and to get BB off the hook, I'm happy to answer questions. I put my email in the chat. Please be patient with me. I will get to you, I promise. I do get a lot of emails. And I do also want to thank everybody for attending. And for those of you who are interested, don't hesitate to ask more questions. Okay.
All right. There are no more questions. I definitely want to thank all of you for joining us this morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you're calling us from. I hope this was really informative. I always learn great tidbits of information about this program every time I listen to it. Really exciting program that I encourage you guys all to look deeper into and reach out to Dr. Gerber. He is an awesome resource that will definitely connect with you and answer any questions that you may have. I will also leave my email in the chat if you guys have any questions about the specifics of applying to the program and deadlines and scholarship, and we can get those answered as well. Once again, thank you for joining us, and you guys all take care and have a great rest of your day or evening.
Thank you, Kevin, BB, Ray, Ruth, Jen.
Thank you. I can also leave my email if you have questions that you're too afraid to ask Dr. Gerber. You can ask me.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, David. All right. So there's my email. I think BB's going to leave her email as well. Reach out to us. You have a wealth of information, especially being able to connect with BB as a current student, I think is such a great opportunity to really kind of talk to her about her experience and what things are like in the class and just what it's like as a current student. So utilize these resources. So once again, thank you guys so much for joining us. I hope this was informative. BB, thank you so much for joining and lending your expertise. I wish you guys a great evening, a great day, and everyone take care.
Thank you, Kevin.
No problem. Bye-bye.